Hey everybody, it's Steve. Thanks for joining me today. Hey, in this video I want to talk about making onion powder, making your own onion powder. Here it is, it's almost springtime, and it's going to be time to plant some stuff. And some of the first things you plant are going to be onions, as well as potatoes. But with the onions, you may say, well boy, I can plant a zillion of them, am I ever going to use them? Well, maybe you don't use them all fresh, maybe you do. But another good option for storing them is going to be go ahead and make your own onion powder. So I've done it before, so I'm going to go ahead and show what we do to make our onion powder and how simple it is and how quick it is. So here for this, I'm going to use 4 large onions. So I'm going to go ahead and get these peeled and sliced. I like to have mine so I can peel them quicker. Come back and get that outer piece later. For the sake of saving time here, so you have to watch me cut up all these onions. I like to cut mine in half, go away from the stem, and to slice them about 1/8 of an inch thick. When we get down to the core, I like to cut off that core. I'm willing to bet you that the onion powder you buy in the store has every bit of that onion ground up in that same powder. But just like you cut the core out of a cabbage, I like to cut the core out of the onion as well. Trying to get the slices as uniform as possible so that they're going to dry as consistently as possible, or evenly. Same thing, got a little bit of the core here. Get that discarded. Good. Now for the dehydrator, I'm going to use my trusty handy Nesco with the adjustable thermometer. This thing is just a workhorse. I've had this thing for years. I think it kind of came with 2 trays, and I've added 4 extra trays over the years, so I can do larger batches. And this thing works like a tank. I'll throw a link down below if you're interested in reading about it. But it's the Nesco American Harvest dehydrator and jerky maker with the temperature control. So I can go and put these right on the trays, or if I was doing something small like garlic, I would go ahead and use one of the tray liners. That helps A, keep things from sticking to this tray, and also keeps things from falling through. So since these are going to be pretty decent sized pieces of onion, I'm going to break the rings apart. I'm going to grab a tray and just lay these out. Got to loosen all the pieces. Doesn't really matter if they touch a little bit, because as it dries I'll be going and taking the tray and shifting them in the stack and then kind of moving things around so the air flows a little bit different throughout the course of the drying. So, just for the sake of keeping this quick and simple here in the video, I won't show you everything I'm doing, but all the onions. I'll just do this one. And also I found that you don't have to leave it real thin. You can load it up pretty good, because as they dry they're going to shrink down and they're going to open up a lot of airspace in between the pieces. So it's really not that big of a deal. So it's better to load down the trays and have more onions when you're done than keep it real spaced out and do small batches and not have as much product when you're done. So there's one tray. I will go ahead and get the rest of these onions cut up and get these trays in, and I'll show you what I do next. Okay, I've got the onions are all cut up and trayed. So I ended up with 5 trays with those 4 large onions. So I ended up with 5 trays, and I'm going to go ahead and get these going in the dehydrator. Be real careful, I don't want to shake them too much, because there's some little pieces that are probably going to fall through, and I'll be dealing with those later. I went ahead and got my trays restacked, got my dehydrator ready to go. I'm going to run this at about 110 to 115 degrees for as long as it takes. So I'll fill you in on that as I go along here. And then also, I'm going to put this in the garage so it doesn't stink up the whole house, because running in 5 trays of a dehydrator with onions is definitely going to put out some oniony scent. So I've got my peels, those are going to go in the compost. I'm going to get this going, and I'll show you here in just a second how things are progressing. Okay, it's the next day. I went ahead and I ran the dehydrator for about 4 to 6 hours at 110, 115 degrees until all these onions were nice, dry, and crispy. I went ahead and shut it off and then went about my business during the day. Now, here it is in the evening. I'm going to go ahead and get these ground up. So, I've already emptied a tray on here. You see the little onion pieces. You can use them just like this if you want, or you can grind them or chop them. Chop them into small pieces, or you can grind them into powder. I'm going to take these and turn these into powder. So, yeah, I didn't need to use the silicone tray. These onions, they dried up real nice. They didn't stick to the tray. So, for the sake of saving time here and not wasting your time, I go ahead and just do this with 2 trays now. So I like to use a flexible cutting board like this so that it's really easy to transfer into the blender. So you can use a blender, you can use a spice grinder. I'm going to use the Vitamix. That's what I happen to have handy. Go ahead and throw the onion pieces in here. Make sure you got a nice tight lid because this stuff's going to get dusty. And go ahead and get it on the blender or the Vitamix. Start off slow. Blend it out until we get the consistency that we want. I want this to be almost like a dust, like an onion powder. And there it is. And you can see that. We got some onion powder in there. I've got a plate. I already did one tray's worth. I'll pour it out. I'll go through and do the rest of these, and then when I'm all done, I'll go ahead and use a spatula and scrape out all the powder that's left around the walls. So, but there you go. You get onion powder. Better than what you get in the store. It's got a better flavor. It's got a richer flavor. You know exactly what's in it. There's no fillers. There's no bugs. It's not irradiated. You don't have to deal with any of that. It's 4 onions. In this case, it's going to be 4 onions, dried and ground into powder, and it'll store well. It keeps well. I don't have any problems with it clumping up at all because I keep it in an airtight container, and you're good to go. So it's simple as that. You make it when you need it, and this will last a long time. We use a lot of onion powder. This still lasts a long time. So that's all I've got today. I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them below. If you like the video, please consider a thumbs up. Appreciate that. That really helps. And I want to say thank you and take care.